All right, fantastic. Well, we welcome up our panelists, some of whom I've only met over video. Nice to see you here today. This is great. We have Olivier, who has been, how many years have you been with us? He claims to be retired, but he still goes to his office every day. Welcome, glad to have you here. We have Mr. Mori here with us as well from Japan. Been with us before. Thank you very much. Again, these bios are in your apps. Feel free to take a look. Dr. Minaj, who always has something interesting to say. Thank you, Dr. Minaj. Welcome. And then we have Mr. Tang, who's here from China, with Iris, who's going to help him with interpretation. And then Van Vu from Vietnam. So welcome. Thanks to have you here. Great. Well, this is a continuation of what we just finished, but what we would like to talk about here is what about the markets that are not the US market? And the reason we set this up this way, and George and I had multiple conversations, is that for many of you in the Asian producing nations, the United States has been forever has been your largest market. We know it's important. That's why we had this conversation that we just had. But as things start to shift, including not only with growing populations in your part of the world or with growing markets in Europe and other places, the real question now is what are the opportunities in developing sales markets in other parts of the world? So we have our panelists here. We're going to ask some questions. Okay, I've got a chair, so I'm going to take a seat here. And let me tee up my notes at least first. Okay, perfect. One of the first questions that I had that we talked about the other day, Mr. Modi, was I think you mentioned to us that the exchange rate against the US dollar in Japan is one of the most important factors. Now, this is interesting to me because some of us, for example, I work primarily with Ecuador, which uses the US dollar. So currency exchanges, for example, don't affect me much. Tell us, why is that important and what difference is that making? We're watching the dollar change a lot right now because of some of the economic chaos in the United States.
Yeah, so, as on Ragnar's presentation, there was a 40% depreciation in our exchange rate between Japanese and US dollars in the past few years. And like last year, the offer when we buy from, Southeast Asian suppliers, the US dollar price looked pretty reasonable. But since, our currency depreciated 40%, we have to consider that into our price structure. So our cost gets much higher than it was a few years back. So that will be handed over to the consumers in Japan. And Japan is mostly importing many things from overseas. So with a weak Japanese yen, everything becomes higher. And the consumption is getting kind of slow in the past few years.
Do you or your friends in the business have any opinions on how the US tariffs might affect seafood, in this case, shrimp, in Japan?
Yeah, so now the Japanese, our customers are looking in, now that it's, there's a 90 days pause in US tariffs right now. And so all the suppliers in Southeast Asia have been shipping out to the US for the past few months to make it before the 8th of July. But now that the deadline is over, and we are seeing that the inventory in the US is starting to pile up. So everybody thinking that at some point, we don't know if that's going to be in August or September, but US their buying may slow down in the next few months. So most of our customers are wait and see attitude. They don't want to buy in long term, but just buy in short term. That's happening. But on the other hand, it's a small customers, but since there's such an uncertainty, if their sales price matches right now, they'll just make a contract for even long term, which is a minority. But Yeah, majority is just wait and see attitude right now because of the tariff situation.
I'm very interested to see this. If in the United States, if our government makes all of your lives a lot more difficult, you producers, it will be interesting to see if opportunities present themselves elsewhere. Olivier, in fact, looking at Europe, well, first of all, in Europe, we really have kind of two markets, right? North and South. But what I think for some of us, we've looked at Europe as kind of a stable market for many years, not a lot of growth. Are there growth opportunities there? Is it opportunity for growth in shrimp sales in the North, in the South, something different? What if I'm a producer and I'm looking to sell my product somewhere besides the US, is Europe an option?
It depends where you are a producer. I think there are, as you said, there are distinctly two markets, South and North. And you have also, you cannot confuse what Ecuador is, for instance, selling, which is a lot of head-on shrimps. It goes to cooking, which is high quality product. And in the North, we're selling more and more peeled Paname. That's what's the product that sells the most. If you are into peeled Paname, you have opportunities. The problem is that we're selling more and more water. So I think soaking is really an issue. We're getting products with up to less than 10% protein count. So that makes very heavy soaking. There is no control on that. And that makes, for me, that's a problem because that's a product that I would not eat myself. So I'm selling it maybe. But if you're selling a product that's basically not very good, it will avenge itself. You know, it's very cheap, but the people eat it and they don't find it good, they will not buy it again. The problem is it's not easy to solve because it's a very scattered market and everybody is doing it. And so it's very difficult to escape from it.
Yeah, well, I know that the quality issues we've talked about that in this meeting and many other meetings many times. Appreciate you bringing that up.